Hello, Merry Christmas, and welcome to the On the Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Alasdair Howorth. We hope you've had a wonderful time wherever you are in the world celebrating over the last couple of days. And Christmas and New Year's is often seen as the season of joy, and nothing brings us more joy than the thought of an Africa Cup of Nations right around the corner. Yes, that's right. We cannot wait for the AFCON that starts in 2 weeks. And On the Whistle podcast will be on the ground in Cote d'Ivoire, bringing you all the best stories, analysis, and laughs from the tournament as it goes on for the entirety of the tournament. We will be there. In preparation ahead of the competition, we decided to put together a little preview for you guys, and what I think actually isn't a little preview, but actually the most comprehensive preview to the AFCON in the world. I know it's a bold claim, but I believe it's true. We have done an episode previewing every single country going to the competition, inviting players, former players, coaches, and experts from every nation onto the pod to analyze and preview what could be the best AFCON yet. So if you want to become an expert in Burkinabe politics, hear why Namibia are going to beat South Africa and get revenge over their neighbors, and find out who is the Congolese Messi, join the On the Whistle podcast gang and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and wherever you get your audio podcast. It's going to be one hell of a ride over the next month or so, and we cannot wait. To kick off our AFCON coverage, we decided to actually take a look back to one of the more iconic AFCONs back in 2004 when Tunisia lifted the trophy on home soil. Joining us to look back at that AFCON is Tunisia's most capped player and African legend, Radhi Jaïdi. Enjoy. Radhi Jaïdi. Radhi, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing today? Welcome back to the podcast.
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Alasdair. Thank you for this invitation and thinking about me, of course. I'm doing well. I'm in Belgium at the moment, working as an assistant coach. And then keeping, striving and keeping, working hard, to get myself, to the highest level I can as a head coach, hopefully in the future. So this is maybe a great opportunity to express myself, in some aspect, and what are the future plans for me as a head coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the issue with you guys who are football players. You're just so focused on excellence. Even when you stop playing, you're still striving for the top when it comes to coaching, whatever you guys are doing.
It's non-stop. It's non-stop. It's non-stop process, especially when you get to the level of being obsessed of achievements and being obsessed of making things, to give back, especially to the new generation, whether to the continent, the African continent, or to specifically to my country as a Tunisian. So yeah, it's a process. We're ambassadors, and we always try, to lead, from our positions.
Absolutely, Radhi. We'll talk about the new generation shortly enough, but we want to go back to when you were the new generation, when you were in your prime playing for Tunisia at the 2004 AFCON. I mean, I guess we'll start broad. When you look back on that tournament, what is the feelings you have? How do you think back on 2004?
Yeah, obviously, look, there is a lot of memories with the AFCON 2004 Tunisia, but probably the most obvious memory is winning the African title, in our country, in Tunisia. We were the host of the country that time, and then we had a good team. We had a team with a mixed generations, but also we had experience, players who played really well, and they were playing continuously throughout the clubs in the African competitions. So we were kind of ready, to make an achievement. All the parts came together to make that big achievement, which is the title, winning the AFCON. It's a great historical for the country, and we're still proud of that as a person, as individuals. Being part of the squad who won the AFCON is the only thing we can think about, is being proud and being honored, to be part of this, and then to participate, to make that achievement.
And take me back to that time, because obviously you had been a part of the team for a long time, even building up to that. I think the 90s, 96, 97 is when you kind of first started being around the team. you know, Obviously coming into that tournament, 2002, you had very disappointing AFCON going out in the groups, and then the World Cup the same, and then Roger Lemaire comes in after that. But actually, coming into the tournament, you had been on this excellent run of form. Obviously, you didn't play competitive games because you didn't have to play qualifiers. But I think when I'm looking back, there's only one loss to Japan the whole year building up to the AFCON. So, kind of when you were coming into the tournament, what were the expectations? Because obviously there were some other brilliant sides of the tournament and ones that you ended up playing. I think of the Senegal team who had obviously done wonders in at the World Cup in 2002, the fantastic Nigeria team. What were your expectations kind of coming into the tournament?
I think, to answer straight away the expectation, and then I can go back, to the preparation, because you mentioned a great point here, which is, pre the AFCON 2004, 2003, and going back even 2002, the World Cup 2002 in Japan. I think the invitation is for us to win the AFCON. I think all the Tunisian know in the back of their heads, or knew in the back of their head, that Tunisia need to go uh, as far as possible in that AFCON and then win it, because we're hosting that, and then we will have the advantage of playing in our pitch in front of our fans. But then in front of their heads, we all Tunisian, no exception, they were scared, if I can use this word, scared of a failure. And this is go back to
Mm.
94. If you remember, Tunisia, we hosted the AFCON in 1994, and then we were disqualified, and when we knocked out from the first round, while we had one of the best generation in that time. We have one of the best players as well, squad of players, mixed really quality players. We had players like Zubair Baya, Skander Swaya, Hayed Al Hamrouni, and then we had like players like a Santa Baks, Al Mahjoubi, Nabil Ma'loul. You're speaking about very strong squad of players with a lot of strong characters. But we were knocked out from the first round. And let me say, I think the problem in that squad, it was how to connect them together to get the group, to get a team performance. And this is, I think, it was a key for us in 2004. 2004, we had a key aspect that allow us to resist all challenges and to face the challenge, and then go beyond these challenges, is to the togetherness. We didn't have, as I said, a better squad than 94 squad, but we had a very strong group of players, of course, with the quality individuals. And then we gone boom, straight away, step by step up to the final. And then if you remember, I think the most difficult games, there were Senegal, in the quarterfinal, and then we had the semi-final Nigeria, and then we were 1-0 down till 70 minutes, I think. And then obviously the final against Morocco. So that was the key aspect that I still remember as a player, but also as a football coach now, who's seeking to always prepare a team to win the games. And then I think togetherness, and the second point is the preparation to the AFCON, and the preparation was key for us. And let me say, I'm not gonna go further deeper, to 90s, but the preparation. I remember Roger Lemaire, when he came, he took us to obviously through training camp in Italy, but we were a group, I think 30 odd players, and then we worked really hard. And I remember me, for example, and Khalid Badra, my partner in crime,
Hmm.
we were not 100%. I had a pubalgie. I had a lot of pain in my groins, and then I was not sure, to play the Afghan. So I had to go to France, to assess the type of the injury, and then get a specialist. And Khalid Badra, I think he was lacking a bit of fitness, So he was not 100%. And then Roger Le Maire was thinking seriously about replacing us with some other players. But then,
Wow.
lucky for us, but obviously the Italy training camp, it was a moment for us to reset, reload, if I can say that as well, and then get back to our level, but also build that connection between the players, between the group of players who came from different, obviously background, different clubs, and different, mindset, and then started to build that togetherness and build that, connection between the players, and then we take it from there.
That is remarkable that potentially at one point both you and Khalid Badra weren't going to be actually at the AFCON. That would have been, I mean, remarkable. I'm sure. I mean, obviously, it would have impacted performances both, defensively, but also his penalties, But it's just remarkable to think that you guys were the kind of heart of that team, and both of you might have missed. I find it interesting this point you're talking about, kind of bringing together the team, because obviously one of the really interesting players in the team. I guess there's two of them. I want to ask Santos, who was playing up front, and Jose Caleta Ribeiro, who I think is left back. Obviously those are not Tunisian names, and these are two guys who are, correct me if I'm wrong, born in Brazilians came over and then played in Tunisia, naturalized right before the tournament, and then particularly Santos obviously came in and had a huge impact at the tournament, scoring the 4 goals. What was it like? You're talking about the importance of the team cohesion and stuff, incorporating two guys there who, clearly had such a different background to the rest of you, but also were still at the same time, representing Tunisia.
Yeah, exactly. That's going back to that's one of the point that helped, people like, Santos and then Clayton. Obviously, they're Brazilian, they're foreigners. But then before that, obviously, they both joined Etoile du Sahel as a team. And then they had that time, to understand a little bit, the Tunisian tradition and the Tunisian culture. But then coming to the national team, it's totally different, business. And I think group cohesion and group environment that we create between us and together helped, players like them, to integrate. We know Santos is very shy guy. He's quiet. He doesn't speak too much. Okay, and then he's always on his own little word and little corner. So he's that type who needs someone to come forward to him. And then I think Dos Santos, he was really linked to Ziad Jaziri, who's totally different personality. He's extrovert. Ziad Jaziri is an extrovert. He speak too much loud and very very confident. And then obviously what helped as well, because both in the same team, it was the Sahel, so they used to play as a 4-4-2 system, or they play up front together, and then they have already the link. But Clayton is totally different personality than Dos Santos. He's a social person who does speak, and even I think when he first came, to national team, he was already speaking some, Tunisian words, and then he's a really positive guy, positive, always smiling, and a funny guy. So he already find himself, integrating all that stuff. But then, as I said, we had some new players, new young players. We had Karim Saidi, we had Karim Hagi, who just joined, the national team, pre the AFCON, and then them as well, for a young players, 19, I think 20 years old, came, to handle that pressure and to handle that responsibility, was not easy. And then again, that environment that environment, helped, them. And this environment is set by, I think, the pseudo leaders we had in the team. We didn't have one leader. We had three, four, I think five, different, leaders. And as you know, leader is not exactly leader by just leading, and giving orders. Leaders could be leader by example, could be leader by taking actions, to the situations, and also the captains. So we had 4 or 5, and then different backgrounds, leaders, and then each leader we had. I remember we had always 1 or 2 times in a week we sit together and then we discuss randomly how we can help the team and how we can help separate players. If we feel player is in his corner, we try to bring him to us. We had always meeting moment, social meeting moment, in the squad, which is the physio room. The physio room was a key aspect, to bringing these players together and to bring us together. And then I remember, while you waiting for your turn, to do massage, you play cards. You play cards. You play. I think what's it called, ping pong, and then these moments, where we connect and link to each others, because we all come from our rooms, we come from the receptions to meet in this midpoint, and we had 3 or 4 physios who there doing their jobs, but obviously listen to us and listen to the banter, watching TV, music, and then it's a multi diversion environment that helped us, to go, oh, I want to be a part of this environment. I want to enjoy my moments, with the guys, in the physio room while I'm waiting my moment, to do massage or to do my stretch or to get examined by the doc. But also the moment where you get exposed by the banter, and then and then maybe you react back, and then it's a fun, and that transfers straight away into the pitch. I think the first big challenge for us was the first game, even though obviously the first game was not against the strongest team in our group, but Rwanda, it was a big challenge for us, because, as I said, I remember the atmosphere was very heavy on Radis. Why? Because we all going to the game worried about losing the game, and then replicate the '94 tragedy, if I can say that. But we were there. We stepped up all together. Obviously, Ziad Zaziri and Santos, they both scored goals. Ziad, who scored the first goal, who that opened the doors, and then from there, as soon as we scored the goal, we knew that we're gonna obviously get away with the result, and then we knew that our AFCON will start. But then I think the main source of our togetherness, it's the environment that we set in the hotel, Hamamet, but also it's not us we set as a players. It's the direction, the administrative, and the federation that we had. Hamouda bin Ammar at that time, who's very respectful guy, who gave us the right, who supported us, and supported Roger Le Maire, especially on the staff, to prepare the right environment. And Roger Le Maire was a type of a coach that we needed, because Roger Le Maire, he doesn't know about the Tunisian culture and the Tunisian system, football or sport. But then he protected us from the external. It protected us from the external exposure, and then that fits together, as I said, protected, and then we set the right environment, the togetherness, and then the togetherness we transfer it to the pitch, that allowed us to express ourselves individually on a pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get into the tournament itself, because, like you said, you have that kind of somewhat nervy win against Rwanda. Set piece goals. It was a little scrappy, and then things open up in the second match when the team thrashes DR Congo 3-0. I think we weren't involved in that one, and then you kind of get the draw against Guinea, top the group, undefeated.
I was involved in both, in 3 games, no?
Oh, sorry. That the lineup I was looking up doesn't have you.
No. That's okay. I was involved in third game then.
Yeah, it was the DR Congo game, I think, was the one you missed, and then you came for the Guinea game.
Yeah.
Was that just to do with your groin? Was that just a fitness issue, or?
I can't remember. I was not a coach at that time.
Yeah.
I can't remember as well. I can't remember. Obviously, I spoke to Roger Le Maire about it, but I know that Roger always will look to
Mm.
rotate the team. But I can't remember specifically why I didn't play. No, I wasn't really painful, but I'm sure maybe this type of managing, my game time, due to that issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you kind of, but of course, like we were saying, it was a challenging group, but more almost challenging because of the pressure on you. But then it's when you get out of the group that you're suddenly faced with some really really tough opponents in kind of Senegal, and then particularly that game against Nigeria. What is your kind of your memory? I mean, I want to focus in on that Nigeria game because obviously, like you said, you have that first, JJ Okocha misses that penalty, is saved, and then they take the lead and you have to come back. Was that the kind of point when they retook the lead after you thought, at first you saved the penalty, you're keeping it 0-0? What was the feeling? Do you remember much about that game of actually realizing we have to battle through to kind of get back into this game? Because obviously that was a sensational Nigeria team with, the likes of Kanu, Okocha, and these guys. For you, what is your memories of that semifinal?
Um, obviously that time, I wasn't. JJ Okocha was not my colleague yet. We don't play
Mm-hmm.
under the same team. He came, I think, from England. I think he was starting to play for Bolton, but I still play for Esperance. But what a big game, eh? It's a very big game. We know, we know, we knew when we passed Senegal, because Senegal that time was not the easy Senegal we're speaking about. Is a Senegal who beat France in 2002 in the World Cup 2002, and then Senegal with the generation of El Hadj Diouf, and then God bless him, Papa Pouba Diop, and then Khalilou Fatiga, and then all the big names they have. So it was not an easy challenge. But then our moral and our confidence, it went up higher when we passed, Senegal, and then again we found ourselves against big team Nigeria with Kanu, and then you're speaking about JJ Okocha, uh, and 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 obviously another big challenge. But we knew if we wanted to go to the final and win the title, is to beat the big guns. And we knew if we passed Nigeria, um, at that time, we knew we can win against Morocco. Not to minimize Morocco's level, because Morocco, they had a great path and a great tournament, but we knew that Morocco was not the probably the contender to win the title at that time,
Mm-hmm.
because they had a lot of change, a lot of issues, but they still have bigger players, Naibet and Shamer and co. So going back to the game, the preparation, we didn't have a lot to prepare, because as soon as you get to the tournament, you have only two days, maximum 3 days to prepare the game. But we had our team ready for any challenge. So we remember we have a slogan chanting that time in a hotel, Manesh Mrawhin. When we say Manesh Mrawhin, means we're not going back home. We stay until the end. And
Mm-hmm.
that was a chant, that was a song that we sing, during the hotel when we meet each others, and then when we meet up, and then we go straight away to that. And after, especially after game, when our way back, from the stadium to the hotel, we go on that chant, and that give us a big boost. So we wanted to play to Nigeria. It was a tough game. Uh, Playing against, I remember me and Khalid Badra, Karim Hagi, playing against world class, players. We knew that any mistake will cost us, a goal. and effectively happens because we give a little bit of time and space for Kanu, and then boom, free kick, penalty, and then I think around 70, 75 minutes we give away a penalty to Nigeria, and we know we don't have a lot of time to get back to the game. It was very, very tight game. Not easy for both, but they had an advantage for one goal. And I remember I'm looking up front at Aziyed Zaziri, and he's, as I said, he's a type of a person who's extrovert, but also on the pitch he's a warrior. Despite his small, height, he was very, very, very strong, big heart, very aggressive, with everything he does, with and without the ball. And then he was fighting against, all these big centre backs, against Nigeria. And we knew that if I'm on the back and looking at Ziyad Jazira, I say, okay, let's keep it up there. Let's keep it up there. And all the players in between us, we were all sending the right message. Let's keep it up. Let's get something from the game. And then till the end, obviously, we never give up. And this was a great key for us. It's a great value. Never give up. We finished till the end, till the penalty came, and Ziyad used his skills. He's the type of player he has a good technique to dive. And then he showed the ball to the defender, and then pushed it and dive, and then got the penalty. Even with the VR now, you'll get the penalty as well because he's really skillful in that aspect. So yeah, as soon as we get ourselves a 1-1, when you get back to the game at that time of the game, you lift the crowd, who maybe at some point they started to give up. The crowd will back, and you're speaking about 60,000 there. You're not speaking about 20 or 30. You're speaking about 60,000 and millions outside waiting for us. And then as soon as we scored the penalty, we had an advantage already. Okay, so I started to have pain in my groin, and then I started to see my teammates struggling physically. But we knew we had to finish, the 2 extra times, try obviously to score a goal before if we can, but then we need to hang there. And then we made it difficult for them because, I think, technically, maybe, individuals, they were in Nigeria, they had better players who play in Europe all the time. But then we knew we had bigger heart, we had the will and desire, to carry on, and then obviously make all the people who round us in the stadium and outside the stadium, our families, proud of us, and then win the game. As soon as we go to the penalties, we know that we use our best players. Khalid Badra, he's a leader, but he's really good in penalties. And then lucky for us, obviously, we had Karim Hagi, who's young, who take responsibility to shoot the penalty. I think it was the last penalty as well, and then he succeeded that, which is great for him, and great and massive for the whole team, for the whole country. And that took us obviously to the final. So we never give up. That's the first values, I think. So we entered the game with the confidence to win against Nigeria, which is very important. Have the confidence to go and then find some way to win against Nigeria. I don't speak tactically because I was not a coach at that time. I was the player, so I was trying to apply what expected from us, which is I can't remember much. The only thing I remember is stop Kanu from scoring goals, and JJ Okocha from scoring free kicks and other stuff aspects. So I can't remember tactically, but I remember exactly what we need to do is to be warriors, is to be strong, aggressive, and keep them out of the box, and then make sure we react, and then we resist against big team, and that's what we did. So the confidence, and then we were warrior. We never give up. We carried till the end, and then we got the key moment was the penalty. We jumped on the opportunity and we took it.
And kind of, we talk about how what a challenging game it was, and how resilient you had to be to get come through that. And you said you kind of almost knew that you would win the final if you could get to it against Morocco, because like you said, Morocco was a good young team, but it was a kind of a big surprise that they got to the final. They didn't have the pedigree of Nigeria, Senegal, or even Mali, who they knocked out in the other semifinal. What are your kind of memories of playing in the final? Because also, specifically you were without Khaled Badjo, who I think was suspended for the final, from getting yellow cards. So what was that like for you, kind of having to take on that mantle of being the kind of key center back?
Morocco. The game itself was not easy game. Obviously, preparing for
Mm,
the final, I think it was not easy. Not just also because of Morocco, because of us as well. Obviously, we knew that we made it to the final. It's one step before winning the title. So the level of the responsibility is gone up. The pressure has gone up. The expectation has gone up. And then we knew we had to respond positive, and then we need to be there. So it was not easy already between us. Again, we look at ourselves, we look at our faces, look at ourselves in the eyes, and then we know we always have that courage and the desire. It's huge. It's unbelievable. I played for different teams. I never saw that level of desire and the level of energy, of passion, of resilience, like I said, in that team. I never saw that before. Um, and that was the key. Again, remember the warm up before the game in the final. We always go under the stands. We have like a big underground underground, coverage, area. We go to warm up and
mhm.
do our stretch, and then individually, each one of us prepared the game. It's the if you external person and you go to that things, the level of energy you feel is crazy. And you look at the individual, you say these guys are warriors. These guys are going for war. They're going through walls, to bring whatever they need to bring, at that time. And I think that's what we showed, throughout in the final, but also throughout, the tournament. Um, and we knew that Morocco can stop us. Morocco with all the superstars, with all the quality players. As I said, Naibet is a legend, Moroccan legend who played, 100 odd games, and played in Spain, in England, and we know he's not gonna stop us. No one will stop us, to go and get the title. And then you saw it in the game, because the game, we started really well in the game. I think we created two chances before we scored, Santos goal. But suddenly, Morocco from nowhere they came back. And in that game, we know that they came back. Morocco came back um, in the 38 minutes. So that's a couple of minutes before the half time. It's not easy. It's not easy because we didn't secure the game. We're still 1-0, and then
Mm,
they scored 1-1. Our goal came earlier, 5 minutes. Maybe the goal when he came earlier kept us, a bit worried to protect the goal, and that's why, we lost a little bit against Morocco, the dominance of the game, and that's why they came back in the game 1-1. But the opportunity to go back on half time, it was not. We didn't take it negative. We took it, okay. Let's go again in the second half. We still have, 45, 50 minutes, to go again. We're not gonna let, Morocco ruin us, the game, and then take it to the extra time, and then suddenly we have more pressure in the penalties. So we knew we had to keep pushing. It's like waves. Keep the waves always, banging on the doors, and then suddenly they did a mistake. The GK did a mistake, and then Ziad Jaziri was there, and then we scored the second, and then after the second we scored. Me at the back with Karim Hagi, we knew that okay, let's bring the keys, lock the door, throw the keys, and then make sure we keep the score. We keep the score 2-1, and then we made it. But it feels now, going back and sit back and then look at the picture that I remember, it feels like you had like a super warriors came from space specifically to that tournament, to play that tournament, win the tournament for Tunisia, and then that's it, boom, stay there. Since 20 years now, we couldn't find that kind of. Since 20 years now, we couldn't find that kind of a picture in the national team, which is a big question mark for me, because I'm not happy for Tunisia not to win the AFCON after us, because we could build from there and then dominate the AFCON for a couple of years like Egypt done, but we didn't do it. So that's why I feel like sitting back now with all the things that gone through that AFCON 2004, and then after that, I describe that generation as extraterrestrials, came from abroad, won the AFCON, met the expectation, and then boom, they're gone back to different planets. I think this is my only description and imagination I can use for that.